Oh, damn!
People are always in a rush, turning roads into high-speed arenas of chaos. Every now and then, cars defy gravity, bikers pull off accidental stunts, and near disasters unfold in real time.
Whoa!
From near-impossible escapes to jaw-dropping crashes, these moments are pure adrenaline rush, crazy, and disturbingly hilarious. If you're thinking you've seen all road madness, think again. Today, we bring to you the most incredible road moments caught on camera. At the Radial Revenge event in Tulsa, racer Daniel Ferris must have thought he signed up for an air show instead of a drag race because his car practically took flight. The semi-final showdown kicked off with Brandon Pez pulling an impressive wheel stand, but Ferris wasn't about to be outdone. In an unexpected twist, he turned the race into a full-blown wheelie contest, launching his car so high it looked like he was trying to clear the finish line from the air. Unfortunately, style points don't count in drag racing, and Ferris crossed the center line, leading to an automatic disqualification. Still, he stole the show, just not how he planned. Arab guys have a way of turning any road into their personal stunt arena, and this was no exception. On a smooth, tarred road, the driver pushed the limits, swerving and balancing the car on two wheels like it was a routine move. But the real wild card? The fearless passenger, casually hanging halfway out of the vehicle as if gravity didn't apply to him. Was this skill, insanity, or just another Tuesday for them? Either way, it was pure chaos, pure adrenaline, and a masterclass in driving. Most of us have questioned at some point whether driving lessons are really necessary. Well, this video has the perfect answer. A woman behind the wheel turned what should have been a simple drive into an action movie stunt, plowing over circuit bays and somehow hitting the gas instead of the brakes right before impact. Talk about a high-speed disaster. Local media reported that firefighters and civil defense teams had to step in to rescue her from the tipped-over vehicle. Luckily, she walked away with only minor injuries, but her driving confidence? Probably totaled. Sometimes patience is the only thing standing between you and an expensive lesson in humility. This unlucky rich guy in his sleek Mercedes learned that the hard way when he crossed paths with an old woman who clearly wasn't in the mood for nonsense. Maybe he thought his fancy car gave him the right of way, or maybe he was just in a hurry, but whatever the case, she wasn't having it. The old lady's unexpected reaction left his luxury ride dented and his ego completely totaled. Was she teaching him a lesson about reckless driving? Was she just having a bad day? One thing's for sure, his Mercedes may have taken the physical hit, but it was his pride that got completely wrecked. No matter how bad your day is, just remember, someone, somewhere, is probably laughing at your misfortune. And for this woman, that someone was standing just a few feet away, struggling to hold their phone steady while cackling uncontrollably. All the victim wanted was to cross the road, a simple task millions do every day. But fate had other plans. She somehow turned a routine moment into an unexpected comedy show. The driver watching had a front row seat, probably debating whether to help or just enjoy the entertainment. Meanwhile, the person filming had already made their choice. Laugh first, maybe help later. The moral of the story is that life has a way of humbling us at the worst moments, but it also has a way of giving bystanders a free, hilarious memory to cherish forever. While the bike rider was still struggling to pull off a wheelie, much to the frustration of his instructor, a tricycle driver decided to steal the show most unexpectedly. Coming in hot from the corner, he pulled off an unintentional stunt, swerving just before the post like he meant to show off, only to crash straight into a makeshift fence. But the best part? Instead of panicking, the tricycle driver casually dropped from his wrecked ride, planted his hands on his waist, and stood there like a disappointed dad surveying the damage. Pure comedy gold. Dashcam footage from March 1st, 2024 captured a moment that could have easily been ripped straight from an action movie. Except there were no stunt doubles, and Sydney Thomas definitely didn't sign up for the chaos. She was cruising along the Clark Memorial Bridge, just another routine day behind the wheel of her semi-truck. But out of nowhere, another vehicle came barreling toward her like it had a personal vendetta. Before she could even react, boom! Metal crunched, tires screeched, and in an instant, her massive rig was hanging at the edge of the bridge. The driver couldn't believe his eyes. Rolling beside him was a beast of a machine, something straight out of a futuristic construction site. For those scratching their heads, this isn't some sci-fi war rig. It is a massive mobile crane carrier, the backbone of a telescopic crane. With its endless wheels, low-slung body, and sheer presence, it could carry a small building if it wanted to. That white structure up front, probably part of a high-end crane system, maybe a Liebherr or XCMG. But hey, who cares about the technical stuff? Let's be real, this thing just looks ridiculously cool. Some people flirt with danger. Others, they flirt with cars. This woman wasn't just playing around. She was on a mission. It all started with a little warm-up performance for a sedan, but that was just the appetizer. The real main course? A towering mechanical beast that immediately captured her heart. The moment her eyes locked onto that massive, hulking machine, she forgot everything else. Maybe it was the raw power, the sheer size, or the deep mechanical growl. Whatever it was, she was completely enchanted. She danced and threw every move she had at the mighty machine, determined to seduce it. Was she joking? Was she serious? No one really knew, but one thing was clear. This love story was as bizarre as it was unforgettable. Whoever the target was, they better count their blessings. Highway drive-by shootings aren't exactly an everyday occurrence, but when the Russian mafia is involved, things tend to get unpredictable. In the video, a man wriggled halfway out of a speeding car, gripping a long rifle like a scene ripped straight from an action movie. The car weaved through traffic, passing a few vehicles, tension thick in the air. And then, nothing. No gunfire, no chaos. Just a silent, unpulled trigger. Whoever was in his crosshairs might never know how close they came to meeting their end. This is the kind of childhood memory that becomes legendary at family gatherings. Imagine cruising down the road, feeling the wind in your hair, with a front row seat on your dad's bike. This mad genius had the idea to strap a custom seat right onto the front of his bike, giving this kid a VIP experience unlike any other. It's the kind of setup that would make any child feel like a king of the road, until reality kicks in. Because while the thrill is undeniable, so is the fact that safety regulations probably took a back seat on this one. If the cops spot them, there's no explaining this creative, yet highly questionable setup. But hey, childhood is about making memories, and this one's going down in history. This tire had had enough. It was officially quitting its job. For weeks, maybe even months, it had been hinting at its frustration, wobbling slightly and shaking a little, but did anyone listen? Nope. So, it decided to take matters into its own hands, or rather, its own role. Mid-drive, without warning, the tire saw its chance and bolted, bouncing away like it had places to be. The driver was completely caught off guard, left staring in shock as their runaway wheel sped off like a scene from an action movie. The best part? The tire seemed to have more control than the actual car. Stuck in heavy traffic with nowhere to run, a Russian gangster spotted the perfect target. 3 men surrounded a car, smashing its windows like they were cracking open a piggy bank. The trapped driver had no way out, just the sound of shattering glass and his own racing heartbeat. After a few more brutal hits, he gave up and unlocked the door. The robbers didn't need to ask twice. Just one tiny detail. That's all the truck driver forgot. But the next thing he knew, an entire billboard came crashing down like a scene from a disaster movie. Who would have thought that one little slip-up could unleash this much chaos? The driver nailed the turn. Too bad he wasn't done showing off. He took things up a notch, nearly gifting his spectators a close-up with his bumper. Lucky for them, they were standing on higher ground. If not, that little bump could have turned into lawsuits, hospital visits, and one very awkward insurance claim. The Russian mafia is known for its rough play, but the country's police are just as ruthless. In this intense scene, the Russian police Spetsnaz executed a high-stakes takedown in broad daylight. A car sat in traffic, its driver unaware of the storm about to hit. Suddenly, masked officers swarmed in, moving with the precision of a well-trained military unit. Within seconds, they smashed the windows, ripped open the doors, and dragged their target out. The chaos was over as fast as it began. The dashcam capturing the scene didn't wait to see what happened next. It sped off. This isn't just risky, it's greed at its most dangerous. The owner of these goods wanted to save every last penny, refusing to hire extra drivers or invest in a proper truck. Instead, they stacked the load sky-high on a frail-looking vehicle. And the driver? Either fearless, desperate, or downright reckless, he agreed to take on this ticking time bomb. With every bump in the road, the towering cargo will definitely sway, threatening to come crashing down. One wrong turn, one sudden stop, and disaster will be inevitable. Meanwhile, unsuspecting drivers nearby who have no idea will be sharing the road when the catastrophe happens. One moment, this biker was the king of the road, leaning into the turn like a pro, pure MotoGP energy. But in the blink of an eye, that confidence vanished. The bike wobbled, and suddenly, he looked less like a racer and more like a rookie who had no business near a powerful machine. Down the hill he went, pride and all. One can only wonder, who thought it was a good idea to strap this kind of spring to the back of a truck? And that's just the start of the questions. How did they even load it? How are they planning to unload it? Or maybe, they didn't think that far ahead, but that's a problem for whoever owns this Frankenstein of a truck. The real question is, should this thing even be legal? Nothing unusual here, just a car owner having a midlife crisis and deciding to pull off a stunt right after a skateboarder. And surprisingly, he nailed it. Well, almost. The only problem? His car took the hit for his moment of glory. Safe to say, his next stop won't be a road trip, it'll be the mechanic's workshop. After a long day's work, this guy kicked back in his one-of-a-kind carriage, letting the real driver take over, his trusty cow. No reins, no directions were needed. The animal knew the way home like clockwork. All he had to do was lie back, relax, and be ready to hop off when they rolled up to his doorstep. Now that's what you call autopilot. With all the men standing around, no one thought to tell the truck driver that the carrier was up. Maybe they were just distracted. Or maybe, just maybe, this was the plan all along. A grand scheme to bring down the gate in the most dramatic way possible. But if that was the goal, let's just say there were smarter ways to pull it off. This has to be a setup. There's no other explanation. The rider was smoothly exiting the garage, and everything looked normal, but the moment he reached the exit, boom! The door suddenly started closing on him. Coincidence? Unlikely. Sabotage? Probably. And if his bike was damaged, you can bet the building owners will be cutting him a nice fat check. That old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, must be this driver's life motto. Because hauling that massive load up such a steep incline, that's pure determination. Or madness. How he'll make it to the top is anyone's guess, but one thing's for sure, his trip back down won't be a drive, it'll be a free fall. This driver had a simple plan. Roll down the window and get a clear shot of the road conditions since his windshield wasn't giving him the best view. Easy, right? Well, life had other ideas. Just as the window came down, a car blasted past, drenching him in a tidal wave of dirty water. Zero warning, zero apologies. Safe to say that his little filming session turned into an unexpected shower. I don't see why the cops had to pull this guy over. His only crime was having a ridiculously dope car. I mean, this is the kind of ride every young boy dreams of. His real offense wasn't speeding or reckless driving. It was simply owning a car that moves like a rocket on wheels. Nothing would hold this driver back, not even a missing tire. The driver drove the car with pure determination, not minding the sparks flying and metal grinding against the road. A little scratch here, a shower of sparks there, and the looming threat of tickets or even arrest? None of it mattered. Wherever they were headed, they were getting there, one way or another. Same story for this motorhome owner, but with one big difference. You can tell just by looking at it that this thing has been in rough shape for a long time. At this point, it's not even about fixing it, it's about knowing when to let go. But let's be real, the driver has probably heard those words 100 times already, and clearly, he's not listening. This is worse than any racing disaster you could imagine. Something like this could single-handedly end the engineer's career and completely wreck the driver's reputation. The moment the green light flashed, disaster struck. The car's engine sputtered and knocked out, crawling slower than a stock model with zero modifications. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, barely a meter in, the bonnet decided to flip open and then flew off, adding a final touch of humiliation to an already tragic performance. This is pure comedy gold. The toll guys and the driver must have replied, "Yep, we know there's a hole here, because we're literally in it." Most families stress about finding a new home when they move, but not this person. Why bother house hunting when you can just take your entire home with you? No packing, no renting, just hit the road and park wherever life takes you. This person must have been craving a snack so badly that they skipped the drive-thru and went straight through the front door, with their car. Not only did they get an express entry into the store, but they also secured a hefty repair bill. Okay, jokes aside, it was just an accident, but let's just say their parking skills need some serious work. This scooter rider lives in his world, and honestly, who can blame him? Gliding through the streets like a neon-lit superstar, he's got that main character energy. Too bad for the other road users. They can't shine like him, and deep down, they probably wish they had the time to feel this young and free again. Well, just another classic case of a slippery road, an inexperienced driver, bad brakes, and tires that should have been retired ages ago. The poor guy had no chance. No matter how hard he tried, the car wouldn't stop. Instead, it gracefully plowed through the roadside decorations like a scene straight out of an action movie, minus the cool soundtrack. The chances of witnessing something like this in real life are almost zero. First, did the driver not see the road sign before plowing over it? He kept pushing as if challenging an inanimate object to a battle, determined to force it down. But instead of conquering it, he managed to send his vehicle rolling backward. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, the stubborn signpost fought back, flinging him to the ground like it had been waiting for this moment all along. At this point, there's no way the trailer driver can claim he didn't know the car was hanging on for dear life. That thing was practically one bump away from taking a nosedive. And for any driver even thinking about overtaking at a turn, they'd need nerves of steel or a serious lack of self-preservation, because one wrong move and it's game over. Missing a wheel? No big deal. This driver had bananas to deliver, and nothing, not a little wobble, not a dramatic tilt to the right, and definitely not a missing back wheel, was going to stop him. He was on a mission, and if that meant rolling in style with sparks flying, so be it. If I'm not mistaken, the goal of this stunt was simple: launch the bike up the hill and land smoothly on flat ground. And technically, the rider did just that, except he got a little too eager on the descent. Mid-air, he ditched the bike entirely and chose to make his grand return to Earth with a series of spectacular rolls instead. Stylish? Absolutely. Successful? Well, that's up for debate. Sometimes the next disaster on the road isn't a reckless driver, a speeding car, or even a sudden mechanical failure. Instead, it's something far more bizarre, like a giant panda balloon rolling into traffic out of nowhere. Imagine cruising at full speed, focused on the road ahead, when suddenly, a massive inflatable panda drifts into your path like it just escaped from a parade. It's not something you train for, and in that split second, panic sets in. Swerving might cause a crash, slamming the brakes could be just as dangerous, and plowing straight through? Well, that's a high-speed game of bumper cars with an oversized stuffed animal. In moments like this, chaos is inevitable. A harmless decoration can become a traffic hazard, and one unlucky driver can cause things to go horribly wrong. Just when you think you've seen the strangest, most ridiculous car design, someone out there takes things to a whole new level because normal is simply too boring. This driver wasn't satisfied with a regular exhaust pipe. Instead, he cranked up the absurdity by extending the pipe sky high, turning his car into something that looked like it belonged in a Mad Max movie. Towering pipes stretched into the air like smokestacks from a rolling factory, making sure everyone on the road had no choice but to stare. Was it practical? Absolutely not. But did he get the attention he was clearly craving? Without a doubt. And as he parks his masterpiece at night, he can rest easy knowing that his ridiculous vision is now a reality. This bicycle rider was clearly on a mission, not to get from point A to point B, but to annoy as many car owners as possible along the way. Strapping unevenly placed wooden planks to the back of his bike, he rode as if completely unaware of the chaos he was creating. At first glance, you might think it was just bad judgment. But then you watch the video again, and the questions start piling up. Why would he even choose to ride through a crowded area packed with cars, knowing full well his oversized cargo was sticking out like a battering ram? Whether clueless or just enjoying the madness, one thing's for sure: every car owner who was affected was left fuming, dodging, and probably questioning their life choices for being on the same road as him. Getting this rally bike out of the swamp was nothing short of a battle. This man wrestled with it, pushing and using every ounce of strength he had, and for a moment, it seemed like the bike would never break free. But then, success! He finally dragged the stubborn machine out, and just when he thought the struggle was over, the bike had other plans. Instead of staying put, it suddenly roared to life and took off on its own, speeding across the empty field like it had unfinished business. Why didn't it just drive itself out of the swamp in the first place? Simple. It wanted someone else to take the plunge first. There was absolutely no way this sedan driver didn't see the SUV already stuck in the mud, but for some reason, he believed he was different. Maybe his car was built differently, or maybe he just had more luck on his side. So he took his chances and went for it. The sedan dove headfirst into the muddy ditch, sinking instantly like it had been waiting for its next victim. Within seconds, it was completely stuck and useless. With that hard slam into the ground, this driver only blocked the road, halted his own journey, and possibly wrecked something in his car. Oh, and let's not forget, he also helped the swamp water flow out just a little more. So, in a way, his car served as an expensive drainage tool. This mixer truck driver unknowingly took on the role of a community street cleaner, but not in the way anyone expected. Loaded with water, the truck rumbled up a slope, but there was just one small problem. The tank wasn't properly sealed. As the incline got steeper, the water inside decided it had enough and started spilling out, gushing onto the empty road like a broken dam. Within seconds, the truck left a shiny, wet trail behind, unintentionally giving the pavement a much-needed wash. It's hard to say what really happened here, but something felt off from the start. A black sedan pulled up and parked, nothing unusual, until you realize the cameraman was already recording, almost as if he knew something was about to go down. Then, out of nowhere, the car's bonnet suddenly popped open on its own. No one touched it. No one was inside, yet it flung up as if the car had a mind of its own. Was it a mechanical failure? A ghostly prank? Or just the world's most dramatic hood malfunction? Whatever the reason, those who witnessed it would have had more questions than answers. Imagine cruising down the road, making good time on your journey, when suddenly, you have to stop. Not because of an accident, not because pedestrians are crossing, not even because of a police checkpoint or a train passing by. No, you're stopped because of bananas. Yes, you heard that right. A bunch of bananas was being transported in the most unusual way, dangling across the road like some kind of VIP cargo. Whether it was a creative delivery method or just sheer madness, the bananas had officially taken priority over traffic. Here's another honest mistake from a truck driver, one that turned into an expensive disaster. In the rush of things, he forgot to close a compartment, probably thinking, what's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst did happen.
Yep.
As the truck moved forward, the open compartment became a wrecking ball, slamming straight into a blockage and causing unexpected damage. In an instant, a small oversight turned into a big problem. Whether it was bad luck or just one of those not-my-day moments, one thing's for sure, the driver won't be forgetting to double-check that compartment ever again. The goal was simple: build an indestructible billboard, one that never turned off and could withstand any impact. And the engineers? They took that challenge personally. At first glance, the billboard already seemed a little off. Its display wasn't functioning properly, possibly a sign that it had taken a hit before. But just as the cameraman started filming, as if on cue, a car came out of nowhere and slammed straight into it. And guess what? The billboard didn't even flinch. It spun around like a battle-hardened warrior shaking off a punch, then settled right back into place like nothing had happened. The car? It was completely wrecked. Once again, nature proves that no matter how much you prepare, it always has a surprise waiting. The owner of this pickup truck thought ahead, carefully packing and covering all the perishables in the trunk to prevent theft. But there was one thing they didn't account for: an elephant invasion. Out of nowhere, a massive elephant appeared, towering over the vehicle like a hungry giant. And without hesitation, it helped itself to the buffet in the trunk, ripping through the cover like it was tissue paper. The driver? Probably frozen in disbelief, watching helplessly as nature's biggest food critic raided their supplies. Lesson learned: you can plan for thieves, but when an elephant decides it's snack time, there's no stopping it. Just for fun, and for the kind of content that keeps people glued to their phones for hours, these guys decided to pull off one of the most ridiculous vehicle experiments ever. They customized monstrous vehicles with the biggest wheels possible, turning them into an absolute beast. But they weren't done. To take things up a notch, they attached heavy-duty cables from the vehicles to opposite sides of a car. Then, with the go-ahead, both drivers floored it in opposite directions at full speed. The result? Complete chaos. The car was literally ripped in half, its engine crashing onto the ground. No CGI, no tricks, just raw mechanical destruction at its finest. Not sure if it's legal to drive this bus, but owning an invisible bus? Now that would be next level cool. If this thing ever hit mass production, it would sell out in days. No doubt about it. As seen here, trees kept reflecting perfectly off the bus as it cruised by, making it nearly impossible to spot. The only clues that a vehicle was even there? A small canopy-covered tip, its windshield, and the tires rolling beneath it. Other than that, it looked like a ghost on wheels. Again, no idea if it's road legal, but if disappearing in traffic was ever a trend, this bus just perfected it. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.